Hi Maria, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
That's great to hear. So, throughout the past week, were you able to complete the activity planning worksheet we discussed last session?
Yes, I did.
Awesome, that's great. So, I know last session we talked about how the term mastery describes activities that provide you with a sense of accomplishment, and pleasure describes activities that provide you with a sense of enjoyment. So, after completing the activity log, did you notice anything about the rate of mastery and pleasure in your activities throughout the last week?
Yes, I think the worksheet helped me realize that most of my daily tasks are really based around getting something checked off of my to-do list, whether that's just an assignment for school or running an errand for my parents, but they don't really necessarily bring me any sense of joy.
Mm,
I think I definitely have more mastery items in my schedule and probably not enough pleasure activities.
sure, yeah, that's very common for people, especially someone whose schedule is as full of responsibilities as yours is. It can be really easy to forget to do things that make us feel happy. So, those pleasure items, right? Um, so, I remember last session, you mentioned that you used to get a lot of pleasure from spending time with your friends from high school and how you've kind of really missed that support of those friendships since beginning college last year. So, how would you feel about meeting up with some of those friends for your planned activity this week?
Yeah, I do miss that so much. It's just it's been so long since I've seen them. I don't know if they'd want to hang out anymore, and it just might be kind of awkward to reach out.
Yeah, sure. I understand why you might feel like that. I get it. At first, it can be kind of nerve-wracking to see friends that you haven't seen in a while. But oftentimes, with genuine friends, like the ones that you described to me when we spoke, I think a lot of that fear kind of quickly sort of dissolves. And it's like picking up right where you left off once you start talking to them for a bit. I also think that these friends would be pretty understanding about your current circumstances and why you haven't been able to touch base in a while.
Yeah, that's true. And most of them knew my parents pretty well and are aware of their health issues. So I think they'll understand why I've been so busy taking care of them recently.
Hmm.
But maybe I'm also just worried I won't have the time to really follow through on any of the plans that we do make.
Yeah, I understand. You certainly have a lot going on, more than most people your age. However, it is so important that you set some time aside for yourself, not just for your basic needs, like making sure you eat and can shower and those kind of things, but for things that make you feel good too, even if it's just grabbing coffee with them for an hour, that's you making an intentional decision to engage in self care for your benefit.
Honestly, it would be really nice to see them. I guess I could send maybe a group text and see who's free just to grab dinner this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And why don't we make a backup plan just in case your friends aren't available to hang out this weekend? So, what's something else that maybe you find enjoyable that you could do for self care during that allotted time?
I'm not sure. I know I could catch up on some homework.
Yeah, yeah, you could, but based on what you've told me, it doesn't sound like schoolwork is something that necessarily is a pleasurable activity for you, right? So, what's something else that would bring you maybe the same sense of joy that hanging out with your friends could? Is there someone else in your life that brings you the same sense of comfort and support, and you just enjoy relaxing and hanging out with?
Yeah, I guess my sister does. It's nice when we get together and just hang out and spend time with her. It's just really fun and not stressful or overwhelming at all.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. I think sometimes being around someone who's kind of younger than you, who has limited life responsibilities, can be a welcome distraction from the challenges that we're facing and the stress that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Is almost like adopting a more childlike perspectives, like for like a brief time, right? Towards our current circumstances. And that can help us to remain more present and optimistic towards our current situation.
Yes, definitely. It's nice to just do simple little silly things with her, and I forget about my responsibilities for a while.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So maybe if your friends are busy this weekend, you guys could do something together. Is there anything specific that you like to do for fun with your sister?
Yeah, we really like to watch the Disney movies together, and we used to just do this thing where we call it like sister sleepover. And we'd eat junk food and binge on our favorite movies.
That sounds like so much fun, and I love that name, a sister sleepover. That's so cute.
Yeah, I could ask her if she'd like to have a movie night this weekend if my friends aren't available.
Yeah, I think that's a great plan. And if you end up hanging out with your friends for this weekend for dinner or whatever else you plan to do, you could always do a sister sleepover next weekend as your planned activity then. And, I'm really proud of you, Maria, for taking this first step to taking better care of yourself by engaging in activities that make you feel good. I know it can be really difficult at first, especially when you're so stressed and you feel like you just don't have the time. But these small changes will make a noticeable difference in your life.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm actually excited to catch up with them after so long.
Yeah, I bet. That's awesome. So, why don't we set up an appointment for next Wednesday? And when we meet, we can check back in to discuss how your weekend went and what you ended up doing for your planned activity. And also, before I let you go, I just really want to encourage you to use your other coping skills that you've learned and found helpful as needed. So, whenever you're beginning to feel stressed about schoolwork or helping out your parents, it's important to take even just a few minutes to reground. You could do some deep breathing or some sensory redirection, like we've talked about. Any of those things that you can easily practice in the moment when you're beginning to feel that stress.
Okay, thank you. I will do that. All right, see you next week then, okay?
Okay, see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.